week off because of no fixture last weekend. How have you used that time?
Yeah, we just used that time to get some more work capacity into the players and, focus on, trying to fix up a few areas that we need to fix up, to help the team progress. And yeah, that's been basically the week for us.
How useful was the game, your last run out against Dewsbury? Obviously, a few players getting game time for the first time and a few players in different positions.
Yeah, no, look, it was an important exercise for us. I've made that very, very clear from the start that the first 3 games that we had, the 2 1895 Cup games and the round 3 Challenge Cup game, we were going to assess everybody and have a look at everybody and see, just see where they're at. What players are, certainly for some of our younger guys, are they able to handle that championship level of rugby at this moment in time? Some of our more established guys, where are they at physically, mentally? And obviously just experiment with a few little different ideas in terms of positions, etc., just to see what we have in the locker and in the arsenal, to help us as coaches, make those more informed decisions as we come into the round 1 fixture in March. So we now know, obviously off the back of results, that we've definitely got 2 more fixtures at least leading into round 1. So now we can start to maybe look to shape things a little bit more towards building into that first game.
That was going to be one of my questions, of how far off are we from seeing the side that will probably start the championship?
Well, again, I don't know exactly. I haven't got a crystal ball. I don't know what the team round 1 will be like. But we're now going to start to shape things a little bit more towards what we feel is going to be the right balance for the team. But again, we may learn some lessons in these next 2 fixtures as well. That actually, that might not quite have worked how we thought, or whatever. But like I said, we've used those first 3 games. We've assessed. We've had a look. And now we'll start to sort of mould and shape in the direction we feel's best for this team moving forward.
With all this in mind, was a week off last week almost a hindrance rather than a help to I suppose, you get into a bit of a groove and did it break it up a bit? Yeah,
I don't know. It's one of those. It's been quite an unusual sort of dynamic this year anyway. Traditionally we'd come back in after the new year. We'd literally have a week of training, and then you start having a couple of friendlies, and then you're into the season. So it's been a different sort of dynamic to contend with in terms of that January block. How does that look like in terms of preparation for then 3 fixtures that you knew were guaranteed, to then potentially having no fixtures then from that point for another 5 weeks till round 1. Obviously, we now know we have definitely got another 2 fixtures, so we can adapt our plan accordingly. But yeah, so it has been a different dynamic to contend with. Whether the week off has been good or bad, I don't think it's too relevant, to be honest. We're still, like I said, we still feel we are in an element of a pre-season phase to a degree, as we're now starting to build into the season.
It feels a bit bizarre asking this, but is it useful to have the extra 2 games? Obviously, it's useful in terms of you're still in the cup competitions, but is it useful in the terms of a bigger picture in your planning?
I think so, yeah. I think for us as coaches to start to really get a feel for how we want this team to look and play, and gives us, like I said, a little bit more time and opportunity now to fine tune and iron those kinks out, so to speak. So, I could see it as a positive that way.
So on to Sheffield in the Challenge Cup. Let's start off with memories of last year, because that was a belter when you met them last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was quite an incredible game, really, an incredible performance from the team of 2023. I think it's definitely up there as one of the best games as a coach I've been involved in. Just the nature of the contest, I thought we really came out of the blocks, got off to a fantastic start. I think we were 20-0 up after about 20 minutes. You couldn't have asked for a better start to a game. Everything that we'd sort of planned and practiced fell into place to a T. So I couldn't fault anything there from the players. Then unfortunately we lose Danny Kermond on the sort of 30-minute mark and sent off and for the remainder of the game. And we had to play with 12 men for 50 minutes. We sort of survived a late sort of surge from Sheffield, which we knew were going to come at us. They were in great form as a team prior to that game. They were scoring freely, and we know their attacking prowess that they possess. So, yeah, it was so the way the team showed courage, determination, and grit was most pleasing, as well as the quality that we saw when we did have the full complement out there for that 20-25 minute period was a real class occasion for us. So definitely a great game. So hopefully we can produce a level of performance on Sunday that gets us through to the next round. But we know we're up against a very, very good side that are very well coached. Like I said, they're going to ask a lot of questions of us defensively because they do use the ball well, and they've got some fantastic strike and attacking players. And I actually think their squad this year is stronger than last year. I think Mark's done a good job with his recruitment. I think he has a little bit more strength in depth and a bit more quality across the ranks in every position. So it'll be interesting to see what we come up against. But again, it's an exciting challenge that we're looking forward to. And again, for us, from our point of view, we just got to focus on looking to fine tune some of the areas that we're looking to improve. And like I said, having an opportunity now for the team to really start to come together now these next couple of weeks.
You've mentioned you know all about their attacking prowess and the strike players, one of which it will be a familiar face if he's named in their team, of Matty Marsh this week.
Yeah, there's a good chance he'll be selected. I know he's in the recent games they've played, he's been in a couple, he's been out of a couple, but I guess that'll be the same as most teams this year. They're having a look at different players in different positions and roles, etc., to make those final decisions. I expect him to play. Looking forward to welcoming Matty back to the club, but obviously hoping it's not a great day for him.
As for your side, I know you're not giving anything away, and you never do, but again, is it another chance to see players in various combinations for you?
Maybe to a little bit of a degree, but we'll see. We'll see.
Is everyone fit and healthy?
They are.
And how far away are we with the likes of Richie Myler that we've still to see this season?
Could be soon enough. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
And Josh Daly made his return at Dewsbury. Did he come through okay?
He did. He come through good. Obviously, again, he's been out for a fair bit of time with that injury that he picked up at the back end of last year. So, again, we're very smart with terms of the minutes that we gave him. I think he played 25, 30 minutes there in that game, which was deliberate. We didn't want to overexpose him, especially with the conditions too. To go from what we train on to then go into that pitch that we had to play on at Dewsbury, which was very, very boggy, very heavy. It just would have been not wise to play him any longer than that. But yeah, looking forward to continuing to progress him and build him back up again for the future. So yeah, no, it was great to have him back on board.
And again, just bring us up to date with some of your longer terms. I know we've mentioned Bailey Antrobus, but the likes of Levi Edwards, where are they in their progression?
Yeah, they're doing great. So again, nothing's really changed from what I've spoke before. They're due back around mid-season, so they may be back a little bit early, a little bit later. It all depends on how they're progressing with rehab. But at the moment, both players, Levi and Bailey, are progressing. I'd probably argue that probably Bailey's maybe slightly ahead of schedule. So so that's promising and pleasing. Ronan Michael now is back in full training, so he's just got the last part of his contact progression to go. So yeah, he won't be far off. He'll be available by round one, no doubt about that. So other than that, in terms of long-termers, that's really it from our long-term perspective.
And finally, the 1895 Cup. The draw was made at the weekend. Oldham in the quarter-finals.
Yep.
A League One club, but
yeah,
that's going to be a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, they're not a league. They are a League One club in name, but in terms of they're a championship standard side. There's no doubt about it. And I think the results recently proved that. They've beaten the likes of Halifax and Barrow already. So yeah, look, we're under no false illusions what we're coming up against there. It's a very good side, well coached. They've got some fantastic players. So yeah, look, we're going to have to be sort of on for that. But again, it's exciting that we're in that stage of the competition and we have an opportunity now to take another step forward. So, but we'll worry about that next week. We've got Sheffield to contend with this week in the Challenge Cup. And like I said, we want to put everything into that this week to hopefully be able to progress to round 5. And then we can address the quarter-final next week, which again, we are very excited to and looking forward to hosting Oldham.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. Hi, Endo. So, reflecting on not last week, the weekend before now, the victory over Dewsbury Rams.
Yep.
What sort of positives did you take from that?
Oh, the positives I took from it was we nilled the opposition in the second half. I thought that was great. I think we saw, for me, a very young backline. And a few guys playing out of position as well. So I was pleased that they sort of held their own against the championship level side. So they're the positives, mate. The positives for me that we got everybody some much needed game time. The return of Josh Daly was important. The fact that we got him through injury free in that first game back. The fact that we got to have a look at some of our younger players and see could they cope with the demands of championship level rugby, and to see that some of those did that, which was most pleasing. And then the fact that we nilled the opposition in the second half as well, I think was a real sort of pleasing one for me.
So one player who's sort of played in quite a few positions so far this season, Taylor Pemberton. How are you seeing his progression going? Because he has sort of been in the half so far.
Yeah, no, look, so far, mate, I'm happy where he's at. He's got a few things he's got to work on, which he knows about. We've had that discussion and that chat. But the thing with Taylor is it's a long-term project with Taylor. We've signed him on 3 years. He's 20 years of age. He hasn't had a lot of experience at senior level, to be honest with you. He had 1 or 2 games first team at St Helens, and he had a couple on loan at North Wales, and then he played about 7 or 8 with us at the back end of last year. So he's still very much in the early stages of his development phase in regards to senior rugby league. I think he's an exciting talent and one that I'm very, very fortunate to have on board here with us for the next few years. But ultimately for him, it's a development project that we're going to have to keep working with. He's got some really good nines at the club already that he's up against, but the role for him, if he's going to probably force his way into the team this year more regularly, will be probably that more sort of 14 role off the bench, and that's why I wanted to have a look at him in the halves, because the modern game or the way it's going, you're likely, less teams are carrying 2 hookers on the bench now. They tend to carry like a utility sort of player that'll be able to play 9, 7, fullback, maybe outside backs as well, that type of role. So that may be a sort of a role we're looking to sort of maybe evolve him into for this season, with a long-term view of him being our number 9.
And looking at Sheffield, they've had a quite good start to the season. How much do you think having the home advantage here could help York?
Oh, look, yeah, home advantage obviously plays a part. I think, we know the pitch. We know that our fans will be here in numbers and really supportive and encouraging of the team. So that's a positive. But again, like I said, it's a good track. I think a lot of probably teams like coming to York, to be fair, because you've got a full size pitch. Great. It's always in great condition. The groundsmen do a great job here. I think most teams probably enjoy coming here for an away day, to be honest. So we never get an easy one, that's for sure. And certainly, knowing the way Sheffield like to play, it probably does suit their style of play as well. So, but we'll certainly do our best to make life difficult for them on Sunday. But we're going to have to be very, very good if we're going to overcome a very good side, as you said there.
And what sort of threats do you think Sheffield will pose to York?
Well, they're going to, like I said here, mate, they'll challenge us through the middle. They've got some great middles that go forward well and can promote the ball. They've got some forwards there that can get a good offload away and cause havoc around the ruck area. They've got some clever nines as well. They've got some good deception. So we're going to have to be good around that ruck area defensively. But then equally on the edges, they've got some fantastic experience and strike. Both halves are willing to take the line on in Aston and Thackeray. You've got, Wellham and Glover that we know that, they've got the ability to beat a man and put their wingers away as well. And they've got some pace on the wings with Dawson Jones and Ben Jones-Bishop. And I think we've already discussed Matty Marsh as well at the back, who's a bit of a try poacher, knows his way to the try line. So, they've got some real attacking strike and threat out there, some back rowers that can punch some holes too. So, look, we know we're going to have to be on our guard this week. We're going to have to be at our best defensively for me if we're going to beat them.
It's a Challenge Cup game, obviously. But on the other side of York Acorn had a brilliant result at Cornwall. Yeah. They've now got an opportunity against, is it pronounced Waff or Waff from
Wathbrow? Yeah, Wathbrow. Yep.
What do you think about them? What do you think York Acorn's chances are of progressing in the tournament?
Well, they've got a chance, haven't they? It's fantastic. I mean, Wathbrow are a very good side. They've been I'd say one of the strongest amateur teams in a number of years. They seem to do extremely well in their respective amateur competition that they play in most years. They tend to do pretty well in the Challenge Cup as well. They've had some success in the Challenge Cup over the years too. So, they're a very, very good setup there. They've got some wonderful talent side, but they certainly have the ability to get the job done if things fall into place. So, I think it'd be great that, certainly for the amateur game in our local area, the community game in our local area, that if Acorn can achieve a win and a result on the weekend, mate, and make it into round 4, I think that's into round 5. That'll be incredible.
And last one from me, a lot of controversy, this week in the Super League, especially the whole derby, the Leeds Rhinos match as well against Salford. I want to say, what are your thoughts on all of that?
Oh, look, I think it's like anything. It's you know. The issue is, I guess, for the moment, I can understand player frustration and club frustration because, obviously there's I suppose the bans or the punishments now are a lot harsher, in terms of some of the actions. But the reality is, I feel the RFL don't have a choice, because for me it all stems from this litigation that's going on. Unfortunately, the RFL have had to spend the last 12 months collecting some data to be able to basically provide for the insurance company to continue to insure the game. So they've done that. They've now obviously made some amendments to what we're doing in order to keep the insurers satisfied, really, to continue to insure the game. Because if they don't, then we don't have a product to even put on the field or a game to play. So that's the reality. And the reality is we're going to have to adapt and overcome that together. I understand the frustration, which is always going to be to start with, because, players are going to have to get accustomed to just reducing that tackle height slightly. They're going to have to get accustomed to, how the game is evolving and changing. And if we look at over the last so many years, the game's always evolving. It's always changing. Some may agree it's not evolving for the better, but that's just personal opinion. The reality is we have to keep the game safe. We have a duty to let our players be safe and make them aware of what repercussions are from the game if they, certainly get so many contacts in certain areas and all that. So there's not much we can avoid on that side of things. We just have to make sure that we are policing it, which, again, the referees are doing their best to try and police and manage it as best they can. So I'm hoping that, there'll be some common ground found between all parties and a resolution, to ensure that the product is still good and it's healthy and people want to, invest in it and be part of it and view it. And that's still going to be an ongoing process, I think, over this next 12 months, to be fair, to try and get that balance right. But ultimately, there's reasons why the game is having to adapt and change, and a lot of that's down to the litigation currently going on behind the scenes against the game, and obviously to ensure that the game is insured, so we can have a product to put out there. So we just have to support that. We have to accept that. I understand there's probably, for me, it's that consistency that they want to see, and that's where, for me, again, that takes time because referees are still learning and getting up to grips with the interpretations and etc. So that's going to take time for them to develop over this next 12 months, and even for the match review panel, mate, to get on board and make sure they're consistent with their decisions. They've got to make sure they can get on top of that as well. So it's just a time, it's a process that we have to go through. Sometimes you have that short-term pain for long-term gain mentality, but I think what we do need is we don't need division. We need to be together and united. And we need to come up with solutions rather than trying to cause more problems. So whether that means getting everybody around a table and making sure everyone's got that clarity on why it's being done and how we're approaching it, and then what we're going to do to ensure that we can get that consistency right across the board for everybody, then that might have to be done. I'm not happy at the moment personally, reading stuff and hearing stuff around players, not happy and sharing their views, on social media, and obviously coaches, obviously behind the scenes, not happy, or certain coaches, and obviously, I just think at the moment we need to stay tight and stay together and united, and maybe like I said to you, we need to sit down, collectively as coaches, maybe senior players, referees, administrators, and just make sure everyone's got that clarity, so we can move forward, because we don't need this disruption, within our game. But I can understand also the frustrations too, because it's like anything when you're changing things, sometimes people don't like change. That's the facts, and sometimes it hurts when you change as well because you're used to things a certain way. But the facts of the matter are we have to change, because if we don't have a sport, if that makes sense. So whether you agree with it or not, and I'm not going to say whether I agree or not agree with it, because it's irrelevant whether I agree with what's going on now or don't agree with what's going on. The facts are the facts. and we have to adapt and we have to overcome together to ensure that we have a future of the sport for our young generation to come through and play, and a safe one at that. That's the key one for me. And it's simple as that. I can't really go and elaborate too much more on that, but I can also understand the frustration from everybody at the moment as they come to grips with this. But I do want to make a point, Gabriel, that the game, the rules haven't really changed that much in terms of, you've never been able to hit around the head. You know what I mean? That's never been allowed. Markers have always had to be square. You've always had to play the ball correctly. So there's not been so much in a case of rule changes. It's just been policed more. And I think the biggest one that we have to obviously deal with now is the tackle height stuff. And that's obviously, there is a view to get that reduction to under the armpit. Okay, it's not quite there yet, but it's, we're looking to get there. I reckon in 12 months' time, tackles are going to have to be under there. And that's why it's a process over these next 12 months to try and start to reduce that, eliminate that. So in 12 months' time, players are more fluent in being able to hit a little bit lower and get those target areas a little bit better. That's obviously the main one to contend with, But what do I know?
That's brilliant. Thank you very much.